It's time to clone your favorite stretchy top. So if you've got something that's favorite, it's stretchy, you can clone it. We're going woe to go quite quickly. And the first thing we're doing, we don't need a pattern because we're going to trace it. Remember, there's just 3 shapes. So fold your garment in half and get it mostly wrinkle-free as much as you can, and then gently trace around the outlines. Pay particular attention to the armhole. So use your fingertips to feel that seam while you slide the pen underneath. Remember, the front armhole is a different shape to the back armhole. So make sure you're feeling and drawing the right shape. Make sure you write down on your pattern piece what shape you are doing, and you've smoothed out your lines, and then all you have to do is cut that out. Remember, I don't put seam allowance in my patterns. You might want to. If you're planning on doing this on the sewing machine, I suggest a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. So that was my front shape. I'm going on to the back shape. Fold it in half, smooth out any wrinkles, and gently sketch around the shape. Once again, we're going to pay particular attention to the armhole because it's going to be a different shape to the front. Smooth that out with your pen, firm up your lines, write on top of the pattern what it is, and of course then you just cut it out. Now for me, of course, I don't put seam allowance in because I'm going to do this mostly on overlocker. So I'll put the seam allowance in for whatever method I'm using when I do the cutting. All right, 2 pieces are done. We're going to just true that up. See that our side seams are at the same length, the shoulders the same length, and we have a little bit of discrepancy with the length once I've trued that up. So I'm just going to use some tape and add on what I need. Check again, and voila, we are done with our first 2 shapes. Now comes the harder part, especially with a longer sleeved and flexible garment. It is the long sleeve. Now the hard part is this sleeve cap. And you'll see how I do a little pause here every now and again. I think someone was talking to me. But do think about whether this is the front or the back, and make sure you're using that fingertip tracing methodology. So you're feeling with your fingertips, pushing the pen underneath the seam, and knowing that it is for the front or for the back of that arm. When you've done that, you can fill out the rest of the shape. And if you were clever, you wouldn't have crumpled it up like this. You would have held the shape and just flipped it over on that fold line so that you can do the back side of that sleeve. Now that's really important that you get that fold line exact, because that curve of your sleeve cap is really, really important. And again, the back is going to be different to the front. So make sure you're feeling that correct curve. You're not putting the front seam line on your back cap of your sleeve. It has to be distinct. Then just fill out the rest of the shape and do some checks. So I decided I hadn't quite got my measurements right for that sleeve cap at the front. I'm just fixing that up now. You can take as much time as you want with this. Now, we're doing a measurement check. The whole measurement of both underarms have to be added up, so front and back, and then that measurement has to equal that whole length of the sleeve cap. And you have to use a flexible measuring tape to get all of the curves. You'll be surprised about how much distance a curve can take or take away. Now, mine didn't measure up, unfortunately, so I am double checking against my garment, and I'm just very gently, without stretching that garment, walking around the seam with my tape measure. So I've got another measurement. And I've gone back in and I've re-laid out my sleeve and I've redrawn it, as you can see from several lines there. And now I'm running around with my flexible tape measure to make sure that actually it works. And it did. So remembering which line was your most correct line for your sleeve cap, you're now cutting out your sleeve. Also mark the top where it fits the shoulder line, do a check on the length of the sleeves so that they match, and write front and back on your sleeve. Cutting it out is fairly self-explanatory. I didn't leave any allowance at the neck because I'm binding that. I am leaving some allowance here to do a hem. So make sure you put in the correct amount of allowance that you need for however you are going to sew this up. I'm doing an overlocker job on this one. And I should say also that if you want a slowed down version of how to do this, you might want to check out the How to Clone a T-shirt video where I really break it down and I make some mistakes and I show you how I rectified that in a far slower and gentler pace. So I'm just finishing off cutting out my sleeve. And the last thing I've got to do is, because I'm using a binding to finish the neckline and actually the cuffs, I'm going to cut myself a long piece of binding on the stretchy side. It's about 3.5 to 4 centimeters wide. Sewing time, we're going to go and do it in order. Shoulders first of all. And I do find it's important to do it in the same direction. So if you go from the outside into the neckline, do that on both shoulders. It will just help the material to behave in the same way, so nothing gets stretched out, especially in opposite ways. Same methodology applies to the side seams. I like to sew in the same direction from the top of the armhole down to the hem, and that is sometimes very useful if you've got discrepancy in your length for some reason, who knows why, but you can more deal with that discrepancy in length at the hem because you can chop it off or you can modify how long it is. So that's why I go armhole down to hem, and we've done the side seams. And the next thing we do is the arm seams. So once again, I like to sew in the most sensible direction for me, which is the top of the sleeve cap down to the hem. Again, I can fix up any discrepancies of length in the hem. Again, for who knows why, sometimes it just happens when I hem. So sew it in the same direction for your second sleeve. Okay, the next bit. We're going to need to take some time with this. Again, if you want a slowed down version of this, have a look at the Clone Your T-shirt version. I really take you through this process because it's an important skill to learn. We are putting the sleeve in the round, and that means we do not want to stretch out anything. We don't want to stretch out either the sleeve or the sleeve cap. We've taken a lot of time to measure out and make it perfect in our pattern, so it is going to sit in there perfectly, but we may need to plop and drop the fabric a few times and just go back and forward with our pinning or pegging to make sure we get that perfect pinned in look. And once we've done that, the sewing of the sleeve into the armhole is really easy. You just sew it all the way around. Again, if you're doing it on the sewing machine, you might have a 1.5 centimeter allowance, and I would suggest that because it will be easier for you to work with. At the end, this is what you should look like. No gathering, no puckering, just this smooth sleeve attached to a garment. All right, we're up to the neckline binding. And of course, if you want to go at a slower and gentler pace and have a full tutorial on exactly how to do this, I'll put that tutorial up in the top right-hand corner for you. We're going at speed here. I'm using my overlocker. I'm attaching that binding that you can see on the bottom with a bit of stretch applied to it, about an inch of stretch, and plopping the material on top all the way around. So the binding is got a slight amount of stretch to it. The garment has 0, and that will make the garment sit nicely around the neck with no puckering and no gaping. Now, of course, you can do that on the sewing machine. I do suggest a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, and don't stitch right on the edge. Use a zigzag stitch. All right, I've got to join up that gap because I didn't measure it. Join that up now and attach that binding so it's all the way around the neckline. There it is, all the way around, attached. And now I'm going to simulate the fold over. So we fold it once and then fold it over again. And that fold is sitting on the right side of our garment. I'll peg that ready to go and top stitch. Right, top stitching time. So our tension is already set because of that binding, that we put that little bit of stretch into the binding piece. And now we just follow that amount of stretch all the way around, top stitching the binding down. And again, I like to do this folded this way so that the upper part of the garment is visible, and that makes the line of stitching possible to be very, very neat because you can see it. The row of stitching underneath from your bobbin, or well, it's coming from your bobbin, I suppose. You can't see that when you're doing it, but it's not going to matter because you don't show that to the world. That's against your skin. And of course, when you've selected a good matching thread, it's pretty invisible anyway. You may want to be doing it with a stretch thread. So I did do a whole video testing out stretch thread. You'll have to have a look at that and see if stretch thread is for you and whether you want to use it. I will just chuck that up in the right-hand corner so you can reference that if you like. And then we've finished. That is the neckline. It's bound and neat. I'm going to do the same thing for my cuffs. So I've already attached that by overlocker. I am folding the binding, flipping over once more, pegging, and ready to go and top stitch. Okay, ready for our hem. Now, I did mention sometimes there's discrepancies with length when we do the side seams, and it happened to me on one side for whoever knows why, but I'm just trimming that up. I did do a try on as well. As you can see, I took the corner of that side seam and I did it on both sides. That's because my blind hem is going to go over easier when I've taken that corner away. So pin up your hem all the way around, then flip over the hem again so you've got a fold upwards, and we're going to sew that on the blind hem stitch setting of your overlocker with just the right needle in, and we're concentrating on catching the fold with that right needle and keeping it consistent, and that will give you a consistent final result. Now I am going to do some versions of how you might want to do a stretch thread on the sewing machine. That will be coming up soon. But here's my blind hem, and all I have to do now is pull it out. I also have a video on blind hemming that goes really slowly with contrasting thread and material so you can see it and have a full breakdown if a gentler pace is what you want. But that's my blind hem. There is no ridge, no ledge. It's perfectly flat on the underside once I've pulled it out, and it stretches really beautifully and is almost invisible when you match the thread. Finished product. Well, I know that I used my black base garment to death last winter. In fact, I've got several versions of it, all in black, and I wanted some colour in my wardrobe, hence my cloned top. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of wear from this. And here are a few looks that I put together so that I'm quite sure that I will get wear from this garment and get colour in my wardrobe. Enjoy your comfy lives and stay tuned next week Also like, follow, subscribe, because next week I'm going to go into some options if you're using the sewing machine and you want options for a stretchy hem. See you then.